Welcome to my tutorial for Batman for the NES. This is a classic game, so one of the better action games of this style on the NES, so I thought it would be worth making a tutorial, especially since I had a run on the Joker where I only got hit once, so I pretty much edited that old footage onto the end of this video. Since this is really just a demonstration video, so I use save and load states to minimize some of the penalties, which is something I don't do when I play through a game completely legit, but I just wanted to speed things up. So it took me about an hour and 38 minutes to put together by doing that. And you'll see some areas where I edited so that I didn't have to start all the way back. Just for the purposes of just demonstrating the game. Sometimes I got confused, as you see here, because when you press start, it switches your weapon, and I think select pauses the game, so it's a little backward. But yeah, so it's pretty much it's kind of a stitched together playthrough for the purpose of demonstration, just for a tutorial. I do that now with some games that I've already beaten. I'll give myself some leniency and just kind of save and load state through some parts just to speed it up. Of course, when I'm beating a game for the first time, which is what most of my videos are, those are all legit. And I always, put in the description if I edited out deaths or whatever the case may be. So yeah, this has deaths edited out. And, it's mainly just to demonstrate the game. The main thing to show really is the final boss, because I think that's what people are mostly, from what I've heard, have trouble on. And that's what I had trouble on initially, was the Joker. So yeah, basically you have a few different weapon types. You have your regular punch, and then if you press... For this guy, you just stay in the corner here, and when he comes down, just throw your batarangs out. Try to throw multiple out, and he'll get jammed up in it. And that's all you really have to do. Just do that for a little while, and you'll kill him. But yeah, to switch weapons, you press the start button, and it'll cycle through your different weapons each time you press it. You have a batarang, a regular pistol, and you have a gun that shoots this triple fire. So you may use those depending on different scenarios. They can be useful. I also like to use rapid fire for the strike button, so that I get rapid batarang or rapid punching, just to not have to mash. So I do use that in this game whenever you see me rapidly striking. And this game does have a ton of fucking slowdown, so that's just part of the game. But yeah, use your batarangs when you can. Don't try to save them. Use them on enemies that are farther away so that you don't get hit when you land on a platform. Clear the enemy out first if you can. You'll see me do that a lot, where I kind of hang back and I clear out the enemy before moving forward. Especially in some of the later areas, you can make things a lot easier by clearing the enemies out, slower, and then using certain enemy dispensers to get your health back and just farm those and get your life filled back up if you need to. Also, if you hit the jump button as you touch a wall, you'll jump back off the wall. And that's something you'll have to get used to doing, especially towards the end of the game, where there's a really long tower you have to climb, which that can be one of the hardest parts of the game. But aside from that, your punch button will use your weapons that you have selected. And that's pretty much it for the controls, aside from, the basics, jump and punch. So, yeah, you'll want to try to clear out enemies in a lot of these levels, like, clearing out that guy from a distance before you jump onto the platform, which is pretty basic. And, there will be parts, wherever there's a part with an enemy dispenser, you can usually farm it and get health back, so you can fill up your life fully. So they're almost like checkpoints, which can make some of the levels a lot easier. And remember, if you hold jump, you're going to do a higher jump, and if you tap it, you do just a short little jump. And of course, that's basic knowledge, but it applies to the walls as well when you're jumping off the walls. Holding it is going to give you a higher jump off the wall. And a lot of times you just want to tap it to make shorter movements. So you're going to get used to the rhythm where you have to hold the button and where you just have to tap it. You know what I mean? This is kind of basic platforming, but, it should be included in a tutorial, so I'm just explaining, some basics. I mean, and you can fall down and turn around real fast and grab the wall and jump off. But you want to do it a little bit lower on that wall so you don't hit into the electricity like I did, where I hit my head on the electric ceiling. More like that. See, that's how you do it. But all this stuff will take some practice, but after a while, you get muscle memory with the stage, and a lot of it'll just come naturally, and it'll be harder initially when you're not used to the controls. Unless you've played a lot of platformers, and this is pretty standard control. The slowdown can eat up your inputs and mess up your inputs, though, since the game does have slowdown. So you gotta, of course, compensate for that as you do in these games. It's not the kind of game like a space shooter where slowdown can actually help you and make the game easier. In this, it actually can eat some of your inputs and make it so you fall and things like that if you're not, if you're not real perceptive of what's going on with that. But yeah, try to take out these flame guys when their flame is down, obviously. I mean, they shoot the flame, then it goes away for a little while, so use that time to... you may want to kill the dispenser to get some health, or you can just kill the enemies that come out of it and get your health back that way if you really want to get all your health back. But yeah, just try to carefully take out the enemies for the most part. The trickiest parts are usually platforming related, mainly with climbing and grappling up the walls. Those are some of the hardest parts in the game. There are a few parts, though, where the enemy arrangements get pretty tough. But, you can pull some bullshit, which I'll show. You can definitely make things easier by using a few tricks. And yeah, for this part, I like to punch out those first two guns, and then I just take out my regular pistol for that top thing, the upper left thing that I had to hit, and I just walk on the conveyor belt. And as those droplets are coming down, those lasers or whatever they are, I just kind of let go of the D-pad and let myself coast backward. And, just kind of pay attention to what's going on and let off the D-pad when need be to dodge those. They're very easy to dodge. Then you can go back to the very back of the stage up here on this little platform and jump and fire your triple shot. And waste up all the bullets out of that, and then you can go in for the kill if you want. If you want to be further careful, you can jump off that wall and turn around real fast and fire off a shot. But obviously, if you're out of ammo, you won't be able to do that. So I think your ammo is for all your weapons, so I don't think you'll have different ammo for different weapons. I think it's all across all your weapons. One of the pickups is ammo. I think it's the bullet pickup. I'm not sure what the B is. Some of the power-ups, I don't really know what they are. But maybe those are batarangs. Maybe batarangs need specific ammo. But it seemed to be like all the three of the weapons shared the same ammo pool. But I could be mistaken on that. I didn't really check it too thoroughly. But yeah, you get the idea. I mean, it should be pretty easy to manage as long as you have a few shots for your regular pistol for that top part. That makes that part a lot easier to not get hit on. Now's your first encounter with these asshole enemies, and these enemies can be very hard. But one of the big tricks for them is that they'll usually jump over you if you stand in front of them, directly in front of them, and then you stay in the middle and just throw batarangs at them as they land on either side of you. And for most of the time, that's what you're going to do with them, but sometimes it's tricky because then they're not always on flat ground. Like you saw, there was other platforms and things that made it kind of tricky, so just be aware of that. I think this was before I really even learned how to fight these guys again, because I hadn't played the game in years, so I was kind of just skipping them. I didn't deal with all of them. But that area is pretty short. Remember, you get checkpoints on every new area you get to, so as long as you get to an area with no health, you'll get a new checkpoint for when you continue. You get unlimited continues. And so, it doesn't really matter that much. Continues are pretty much the same as losing a life. I mean, they don't send you back any farther. Aside from if you just lose a life and you're at a boss, you'll get to use all your lives up to retry a boss for as many lives as you have. And when those lives run out, then you'll be sent back to the beginning of the stage. So I guess there is one purpose to the lives as opposed to the continues. You do get to start at the boss for a few tries. But aside from that, other checkpoints you get to you'll continue from them on the continues. So it's pretty forgiving with that. Not too much to say here. You're going to do some wall climbing and, kind of just deal with the enemies and things on this stage. It's not too challenging, this area. This can be hard. For these things that chase after you and explode, try to lure them first to come at you and then jump up in the air, and they'll explode while you're still in the air. See, for this guy, I don't even bother fighting him. I just skip some of these big enemies. I recommend doing that, but don't take as many hits as I did. I got kind of sloppy and took some extra hits when I didn't need to. I took an extra hit there. But you can kind of just walk through them if you don't want to deal with them. I mean, you will lose health, but, you know, if you learn the rest of the level, it's not too much of a problem. I kind of like taking hits sometimes just to take shortcuts through areas. Even though I'm not a speedrunner, I do kind of play aggressively at times. But I was kind of taking my time with this game. I didn't know the stages too well, so, you know, I was just playing kind of carefully. If you want, you can farm those things and get a full health bar, but I wasn't really remembering to do that at this point, so I didn't do it. But I could have farmed that enemy dispenser and just punched the enemies and got all my health back. You just got to get in a rhythm with moving underneath it to grab the items as you punch them. Like after every three enemies that you punch, you have a moment that you can walk under it real fast and grab everything and then start again. You just cycle that. For this, you're going to learn to use your wall climbing a little bit more precisely. You know, sometimes you're going to want to do shorter button pushes for a shorter leap, and sometimes you're going to want to hold it down for a farther. You're just going to have to get used to that. Sometimes it's worth dropping down a little bit to get your positioning right. You know, you don't always want to just keep going straight up. Sometimes you got to drop down a little bit to get the right position on the wall to jump from. So, if you're having trouble with that, just look at where I jumped from. For this guy, I just did a suicide maneuver, which I do again in the game at one point, but I basically just get in the middle of the screen here and just keep throwing my batarangs with whatever side he lands on. And I still had a few pieces of health left, so I recommend getting to that guy with at least an extra life to fuck around with, because when you get there, you will probably won't have full health, but if you die once on him, you can start on him with the next life. You won't start on him when you continue, obviously, but you will start on him with the next lives that you have remaining. So try to get to him with at least one life left, and just get in that middle and just do what I did there with those batarangs, and very easy boss. This guy, I'm kind of just taking my time because there's a lot of bullshit in this area, so I just throw that triple shot out. If you do it just right, you'll hear the hit sound that it makes, which will confirm that the shot is landing, so you'll know that you're landing the hits, and eventually he'll die. Enemies do really respawn in this game when you get them off screen and then back on again, so, you know, you don't want to, like, go back the other way. I think then the enemy will probably come back, as with a lot of NES games. Now here you can farm health if you want to get all your life back. It's up to you how long you want to farm that. I showed a little bit of that. I actually did farm it for a little while. I showed just a little bit. I edited that down because, you know, there's nothing to see. Once you see me do it 2 or 3 times, you get the idea. And I've explained it, so, you know, if you missed it, you'll remember after I explain it. So yeah, for these guys, just let them jump left to right of you and stay in the middle. They'll usually jump over you. And just use your batarang. You could probably punch them on either side of you as well, but the punch is such a short attack that I didn't really try that. But, you know, you may be able to do it. I didn't bother with it. I like using the batarang. You usually have plenty of fucking batarangs in this game. I mean, you get a lot of ammo. So as long as you're not being super wasteful, you'll probably have weapons for bosses and various enemies. You kind of gotta go out of your way to waste all your ammo, especially if you're farming for health. You're going to most likely be picking up ammo as well from those things. You can also refill your ammo to full, so I recommend getting both your health and your ammo since they're both there in the same, you know, farming locations. And like I said, anytime you see one of those enemy dispensers that's on the ceiling dropping enemies, you can farm it, except the ones that drop exploding enemies. They're pretty much just bombs. They're red dispensers. If you see those, just leave those alone. I don't think you can farm those. But otherwise, you can farm all those dispensers. So yeah, more wall jumping here. You don't want to land on that floor. I think it hurts you, but you'll be getting used to how long to hold the button down for your various wall jumps. You know, just by practicing. As I always recommend, use save and load states to practice any parts that give you trouble, whether it be a short section of climbing or if it's a boss or a series of enemies, whatever it is. Use save and load states to practice, and then you can put everything together really easily for your legit run. You know, just commit suicide and go back to the part you were on and continue playing. But you'll learn what you need to do next. I consider that totally legit. I do that all the time. You know, I practice games. You know, you just get very efficient practice by doing that. See, those are the red dispensers that only dispense bombs. You know, don't try to kill those or farm. I don't even know if you can kill it. I just gave up on trying to destroy it. It's probably a waste to kill it anyway, because by the time I got down there, it probably would have respawned. So, I wasn't really thinking about that. I think for that part, you don't jump on that middle thing and get hit like I did. You probably have to jump up off those walls that are on the upper left. Those gray walls. I just played this sloppy and just jumped on and skipped through because I had enough health, so I didn't have to worry about it. For this part, just fall. Try to fall through all the gaps and just take your hits. Don't worry about taking hits. Just fall through all these little gaps. It's a lot faster, and then when you get to the bottom, now you can farm your health back. So, you're just going to duck here and rapid punch. And if you have a rapid fire controller, you'll be punching constantly by holding it down. Now, sometimes the game has a lot of slowdown, so sometimes enemies do get through and damage you, but it's very easy to keep farming your health. You may take a hit here and there, but you'll get more hearts overall, even if it takes you a little longer, and you'll get your health bar full if you want it. For this guy, you can just kill him from a distance with the triple shot. And, another enemy that you can just kill with triple shot. 2 triple shots will kill that. Now you're going to do some platforming on these conveyor belts, which isn't hard. If you keep moving, you'll go right through that lightning without getting hit by it. So just keep moving as soon as you get to that area, and you'll just go through it like I did. These are a little annoying because they're on a narrow platform. I usually just take the hit and then duck and punch them. I'm sure there's a careful way to play it, but I find it easier just to take the damage there and get on that platform. Otherwise, you're going to have all kinds of weird shit happening, get knocked off. And when you do jump on there, you are going to get knocked off a bit, so be ready to get knocked back a little bit when you land. You got to plan for it. So yeah, for this, just kind of carefully make your way up here. Try to take these guys out before you go up and deal with those big machines. For these big machines, what I did was I just... I used the batarang for this part just to take them out. Later on in the last level, I do an even sloppier method and just take some hits and get through. But yeah, this time I had batarangs. Later on, I didn't have them, so I got kind of sloppy with it, but it worked. But yeah, try to take these things out. You can probably use the triple shot or the batarangs. I think triple shot works a little better for this part, but I didn't really care. I had plenty of ammo, so I wasn't really too worried about it. So yeah, once you get up here, you can farm all your health back if you want by fighting these enemies out of the dispenser, as usual. So if you need full health for the boss, do that. I don't think you get full health back when you get into a boss room. I think you may get a little health back. But yeah, anyway, for this, I did a very sloppy method, which, I mean, there's much better ways to play this, so I can't say this is going to be very helpful. But this one's not refined at all. What I did is I just got up here and kept punching it and staying on that one platform. I mean, I rarely switched my ammo. I mainly just punched it. Once that was done, I come up to this area right here, and I think I switched my weapons out. But then I just pretty much bombard it with triple shot and take any hits, because it doesn't really take that many hits. So I was able to just barely survive it by doing that. Not a very good technique, but I mean, if you can get here with full life, you can pull it off fairly easily. It's not too hard with that method. It's very sloppy, but it works. So yeah, this is the final stage. This is the hardest level because of the climb at the end. So obviously jump over the gears. You saw I jumped on the gear and got hit. That's because of the fucking slowdown. So be aware of it. It can mess up your inputs and eat them, like I said. Also, you might be used to holding the forward button a little bit longer when you're in midair to control your jump. But you'll have to hold it probably even longer with the slowdown, so that'll throw off your timing and your jump distance and all that. So yeah, now this is where you're going to have to start doing some big climbing. So try to be coming out with punches on that first guy as you're coming up onto that first cube that you got to land onto. Here's an enemy dispenser, so if you need to, you can farm that and get all your life back. But it's a little bit close to the edge, and you can get knocked off, so I didn't bother on that one. I knew I could do it a little bit later, so I just took my chances. Just proceed carefully here. Now you're going to have to do some harder climbing. Try to time your climb so that, hang on the wall for about a split second before jumping off the wall again. Just hang on that wall and let that fire go away or that grapple go away. Because if those are out, while you're coming in there, you're going to take the hit. So try to time it so that doesn't happen. Of course, with this guy, you can just take him out with a batarang from a distance or a triple shot. Most of the enemies you're not going to bother fighting. You're just going to time your movements to get through. This part, I'm sure there was a better way to do that without getting hit. And you can see I have no life left pretty much. But, I just didn't figure it out in this playthrough. So I can't really say like what the better way to avoid damage on that part would be. If there is a way to avoid damage. I assume there is. See, that part there is. It's very easy to do. You just got to fall kind of low on that box. Jump off. So yeah, this is the top area. Now, I did edit a lot in this part. I didn't actually do this tower in one take. I, of course, did it when I beat the game originally, but, now that this is a tutorial, I edited, I edited in through some of my failures to make up for it. This guy, there's a very easy method if you have full life. Get all the way to the left, turn around, and face right, and make sure you have your batarangs equipped. If not, make sure you select your batarangs while you're walking to the left initially, and then just stay here and keep throwing batarangs while crouched. And it's a very sloppy method, but it works. You'll have one piece of health remaining when you beat him. It's extremely close. But as long as you have an extra life to play with, you'll get an attempt at him with full life. So you'll be able to do that. I know there's better ways to play that previous guy, but I figured this is a reliable method that I haven't seen anyone really show. It's sloppy, but it works. For the Joker, this was my run where I only got hit once. This is the main reason I made the tutorial. For the Joker, this is going to take a lot of save and load state practice to be able to do that. But basically what I did is I had to align my head with the front of his pistol. There's a gap right at the front of his pistol. There's a gap right before the projectile comes out. So basically you want your head in the gap where the projectile comes out. When the projectile comes out of the pistol, it leaves a little bit of a gap every time. It doesn't come out of the front of the pistol, like directly out of the front. It comes out through a gap. So if you can get your head in that gap and just kind of walk with him, and just keep bataranging him with rapid batarangs and just follow that gap in the gun. It's a gap between the gun and the fireball when it initially fires. Kind of hard to explain, but if you can follow that with your head and just keep throwing out batarangs while walking with it, you'll be able to beat it without, probably can beat it without taking any damage. But that was I probably played for about 30 minutes trying to do that, and that was the best I was able to do. So I just, that's the run that I ended up posting up on my channel. So yeah, it is tricky, but I recommend the Joker. It can be very, very, very hard, and you'll end up just exchanging hits with him pretty much if you don't know what you're doing. But the closer you can get to trying to do that method, the better you're going to actually do on him. You may still lose half of your life or 3/4 of your life, but you're not going to be down to the last sliver of health. And if you can do it like I show there, then you can actually do it probably without getting hit if you do it a little bit better than what I did. So let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.